how long can the helper sustain this relationship of I will take the
Mm,
heat, I will take the blame,
yes.
even though I don't think I'm wrong, the
Okay.
helper. Like how long can a relationship last and someone could sustain that?
Yes.
So I would assume most relationships like that don't last.
Okay, so
I don't know.
let's talk about that one because in the question, right? The question
Mm,
is how long can you sustain that? But say it again. Can you just repeat it just so it's I want to fresh in my mind. I got the how long
okay.
part, but you said something. Oh, what was it? Take the fault like that it's your fault? Was
Yeah,
that
so
it?
when you talk about this is my
Yeah.
question. When you talk about containment and
Yeah.
how I should rephrase a question or taking fault on my own actions to appease them.
Okay, wait, stop there. Stop there. Okay.
Okay.
So let's thank you. Okay, again, thank you for this question because if it was confusing to you, I imagine many listeners were confused by this. So the first thing I want to say is let me just review containment again very briefly. I had a feeling, remember I said it would come up later,
Yeah.
but the act of containment really is like made up of several different components. One is validating. So the validating piece, again, just to take it away from your daughter for a moment and go back to the situation of making the eggs, right?
Hmm.
That would look like what, Jim? That you could really appreciate how upsetting it would be. That they were expecting to have their eggs over easy, and then you presented them sunny side up. And you see what I'm just making
Hmm.
this up, but the
Hmm.
point is validating, even though you may not agree with it and you think it's ridiculous, okay? That's irrelevant because they have a feeling, and you want to acknowledge that you heard that they have a feeling and not dismiss it. So that's the first piece. But the second, and I'll sort of put these together just to save us some time, has to do then with taking a feeling in, detoxifying it, and then giving it back in a more manageable way. So, really, all that means, Jim, is that you are not taking responsibility. You're not taking on like that it's your fault. You see, that's the main
Okay.
point that I wanted to clarify because you and maybe other people have heard this and they're thinking that you have to like apologize, right?
Hmm.
Like that you're always eating it in some way, right? Not the eggs,
Right.
but you know what I mean,
No, no,
like
no.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
criticism. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, that's not it because that would really wear you down quite quickly and demoralize you. So, I don't want
Right.
anybody doing that. But what it does look like then is they hand you something very hot. She's getting pushed around by her boyfriend and she tells you this, right? Or the
Hmm.
eggs weren't cooked correctly. Whatever it is, you could fill in the blank here. They hand you something that's affectively charged, basically. That's the main point. And rather than reacting, see, this is where it's really, really hard. You could validate how hard it is for, like, how you heard what they said, and then you give it back in a way that's more manageable. And all that part means is that you don't give advice. You don't step into the dynamic with them. You don't give suggestions. And by the way, in your case, Jim, you don't apologize. You don't eat it because that's in the dynamic now as if you did something wrong. And that's not what's
Okay.
going to lead to genuine change. But there's a lot more to say, but let me just pause there and see if any of this is like confusing or what's not clear. So play it out with me as you're hearing it. Like,
Hmm.
what are you
Hmm.
hearing?
Well, I understood it differently
Yes.
prior to us talking. So
Hmm.
I took it as, like I said, I'll take the heat, I'll take the blame. Maybe I didn't hear you how you liked your eggs last week. My bad, my fault.
Yeah.
And that's where my question came up like, how could someone who is very self aware put themselves in a situation so often to say, I'm going to take the blame for this
Yeah.
so he or she will feel better? I
Yeah.
just didn't know. But you've clarified it with me. Like it's really not about taking the heat and apologizing for it. It's kind of like, I know there's a deeper issue there.
Yes.
I know it's not about the eggs. I'm not going to fight with you about it. And I'm not going to give you advice, which is good too, because I tend to say, well,
Yes.
why didn't you do this? This would have been better for you type of thing. It might.